So one of the functions I love the most about ProTrader is the training mode. You see up here where you have the college hat, you just click on that and it comes up with the training mode. Now you can set any date that you like. So let's say we're going to go back to August the 1st and you hit OK. And you'll see that the chart comes up. And you'll notice on the right hand side, you see how you've got the previous day and the next day. And so you can then just scroll through. Now, what is great about the training mode, apart from just the obvious back testing, is that it enables you to develop an understanding of technical analysis and technical analysis indicators. So, how does a technical analysis relate to the share price? And then also, so not only does it increase your knowledge, but you can also then develop an understanding in terms of what is the correlation between technical analysis and how the share price behaves. Two of the most important things for successful trading is the identification of a consistent entry and exit point, or an entry and exit signal. And once you have mastered that, you really have gone a long way to developing a long-term successful trading plan. So let's say hypothetically, I want to try and identify a 3-day rising OBV and a rising RSI. And so I'm going to use a BHP chart. So we're just going to scroll through. What I'm looking for, as I say, is 3 days. And I believe that that is a successful signal for me to enter. So as you can see, I'm just clicking one day at a time. And now it's still going down. So that's day 1, day 2, day 3, right. So I've now seen that, my RSI has broken up. I've had 3 days of a rising OBV. And what I'll use here is, you see this function here called the trailing stop. So I click on that, and then I use it to basically set your entry price and set your stop price. And once again, this is, stops are very important. And this is a wonderful environment in order to master the use of stops. So you hit OK. Now, in the training mode, another area that I love is, you see how you've got this trade planner. And this is awesome. And so what you can do is you can create a hypothetical portfolio. Now, one of the best things that I love about this is that if anyone's used Excel spreadsheets, or you've used pen and paper, what you generally start to do is you can fudge things. It's just human nature. At the end, you then can say, oh, look, I really wouldn't have bought it at that price, or I really wouldn't have got it at that price. Whereas by doing it this way, as you go, it keeps you honest. And I do absolutely love this functionality. And you can just go through, and once it's gotten at the end of it, you can't change it. And so I say it keeps you honest in terms of how you have gone. So let's see if this has been a successful entry point. Well, you can see the red lines come on, and that's been my initial stop loss. And I'm using the trailing stop function, which I would always encourage all people to have a trailing stop, and kind of consider a trailing stop as a bit like a handbrake. You have got your brake on the car that you can use for a stop that you may wish to manually apply, but the trailing stop is your backup in case something happens. So you can see I've actually made a pretty good entry point. Now you see these new trend lines here. I've actually been trialing this recently, and this is what I love about the software here, that even though I've been using ProTrader for over a decade, I'm still coming up with new methods, and I can then use this training mode to try them out and see how they go. So I'm using this 9-day moving average through a 20-day weighted average to identify exit points, and I just want to see how this goes. And so by clicking one day at a time, I'm just going through and seeing, no, not yet. Okay, now it's crossed over. So now I enter my sell at $36.65. So, I've made a decision. I've now sold my position. So I'm going to cancel this now. And let's see how I go. Fantastic. So you can see that I've now identified a valid exit point. And once again, we can now go back and I can re-engineer or reverse engineer and reverse identify that the fact is that, is there a correlation between the RSI breaking up and a 3-day OBV? One of the other things that I love about the training mode is if you then use it with your watch lists, you can then, of course, cycle through. So you can say, right, well, now can I find this same pattern with bingo? Or, can I find it now with Blackmores? You can just cycle through. And once again, let's say I want to try, well, what's the stochastic oscillator like? Is there a correlation between the stochastic oscillator crossovers and an entry and exit point? And just by cycling through and using the trailing stop functionality here, in conjunction with the trade planner, you can develop a very powerful and consistent trading plan that identifies entry and exit points. Now, another thing that I want to talk about very briefly is people often say, oh, well, where can I find out what an RSI is? Where can I find out what the TCI is? What I'd always encourage you to do is use our good friend Google and just type in the indicator. And the first one that often comes up is Wikipedia, but I'd always encourage you to go to Investopedia. It is a wonderful resource. You'll have a great, very clear to understand description, as well as a little video. And I would use this very regularly just to kind of clarify what any of the indicators are that are available in the software. The final point that I'd like to make to you is, by using the training mode in conjunction with the trade planner and the trailing stop, you should be able to develop a very powerful and hopefully successful trading plan that you can then apply in the real world. And remember, if you cannot make money trading in the training mode, then you sure as hell don't want to be trading in the real market. So the training mode, it's a fantastic facility and function of ProTrader.